Hey, everybody, welcome to The Blacklist, the show where we interview the elite. And today we have a special treat. We have Neil Patel, who to me is somebody very, very important. He's actually the reason why I got started in entrepreneurship. A crazy story that I'm going to get into, but so happy to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me. Dude, I remember the first time we met, it was in Washington. I was
Yep.
at some conference in Seattle specifically,
Yeah.
and we met, and I was like, oh, this kid has potential. You're with two other people, I believe.
Yep. You know what's crazy? I That was the first time we met, and when we did, I was like so nervous, so scared, and I'm like, oh my god, I just got this guy to like waive his speaking fee. He came to speak to a bunch of kids, and then when you did your breakout session, like I didn't even have the projector up or anything. You just
Wait, were you in high school or college at the
I
time?
was in high school at the time.
Yeah.
So I was like, I was so happy that you
Did,
came and you
did,
keynoted in front of like so many people or so
did,
many kids.
yeah, did you end up going to college?
I went to college for a year and then dropped out.
Good for you.
I know. Thank you. Thank
Or,
you.
I think for certain professions it's required, but I wish I didn't go to college. It was a big waste of time for me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, I agree. I only had to go for the year because it was kind of like a deal that I made with my parents that I was like, look, if I can make money, then I'm dropping out.
Yeah, you don't need to go.
Yeah, no, 100%. But the main reason why, I'm really glad that you're joining is because for me, this is truly like a full circle experience where I don't think I'm at my, prime yet, but I definitely do think I have a, solid business at the
Yeah.
moment. When I first, knew you and started talking to you and diving into your stuff, I knew nothing. I didn't know anything about digital marketing, and you were like the only person that ranked and had a personal brand. Like, in fact, I looked not too long ago, but if I'm correct, like you rank for either SEO or digital marketing, like number one and number three for like completely different businesses and stuff like that. So to me, that's crazy.
I haven't checked in years, so I'm not too sure, but I think we get decent traffic from search, so it's been a good run for us.
Yeah. What's crazy for me is like in the beginning when I was first getting into your stuff, I read like almost every single blog post. I remember commenting on everything. Now you can confirm right here, right now, was it actually you responding back to me and emailing me back, or was it somebody
Yes.
else?
No, that was me. Back then it was me. Today, being quite frank, it's not me.
Yeah. Got it. Got it. Well, at least I was talking to you.
Yeah.
And it was crazy because the reason I brought these books is because I actually forgot I had them. But when I was taking a look, so these books are not books that you actually made. But all of these are blog posts. Oops, blog posts from like the year that you wrote them. So this is like 2013. This is 20. This is 2012. Here, sorry, 2012. And this is his infamous shirt. I hate doing this shit. And then this is from 2007 to 2010. So like I was so deep into like a lot of these blog posts. And at first they were like, I would say not that long.
Yeah.
And then they started getting like
Longer and longer.
incredibly in depth.
Well, here's a funny thing. I didn't realize how many books I actually wrote until you presented it here. I'm like, oh crap, I've probably written like 4 or 5 books in my life.
These are big pages. And that's because I like put it into like 10 font.
Yeah.
But main reason I wanted to bring this out is because like this was the start for me. I know we don't speak, as much anymore, but like,
Yeah.
sometimes you'll still message me.
I follow you on Instagram.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
see all the cool stuff. You always have like car stuff, and you always have steak stuff. I think you
Yeah.
love steak, right?
I do. I do. In fact, I was telling my girlfriend this funny story. I sometimes like hide some of my stories from you because, sometimes you'll message me like, dude, don't spend money on that or like spend money on better stuff. So I'm like, I'll hide certain
Nah,
stories.
you don't have to hide it. Be yourself.
Yeah.
And then you have a kid now, right?
I have a kid, which is crazy because you have kids.
Yeah. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
You just
Thank you.
you guys gave birth in less than a year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about your family life because when I knew you, that was non-existent.
Yeah, non-existent.
Um, we were talking to Jeff outside, and he was saying like maybe at one point it was never going to happen, or like wasn't supposed to happen.
No, marriage wasn't. I never planned for marriage. I thought I would never get married,
Yeah.
and then it just happened.
Talk to me about that. How did it just happen?
I was dating the same person for a long time, got along. She wanted to get married. I liked her, loved her. I still do. And I was like, okay, I guess we're going to get married. I never really thought about having kids. She wanted to have kids. I was like, okay, sounds good. And,
Yeah.
when I was younger, I was like, man, this is going to be a lot of work. I
Right.
don't know. And now I'm extremely happy that I got married and I have kids. And what's funny is I've done better in business post marriage than pre marriage, and I think a lot of the reason is you just focus more.
Yeah. Is it
Right.
because you have less time to work, so that because you also have to be with family, so that
No, I have more time to work.
you have more time to work now?
Yeah, because when you're single, you want to party, you want to go out, you're not as productive. And when you're married and you find the right partner, they understand you
Yeah.
and you can just crank. Like my wife is really chill. She'll just be like, you know, just give me 10 minutes of attention a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. I give her more than 10 minutes of attention, but
Right.
like she doesn't force me to like spend 5 hours a day watching kids or anything like that. She's like, you love working. I knew this before we got married.
Yeah.
And she's just like, keep working. It's your thing.
Yeah. When you were single though, I don't think you were the party type, or were you? You didn't
I
seem like
was.
it.
I was partying a lot.
Wow. That was not I mean, it was just wasn't something that I thought about, when I
Yeah.
thought of Neil Patel. Um,
I remember at one point, my buddies and I would come to Vegas when we were in California at least twice a month to just party it up. And that
yeah.
was just partying in Vegas. But yeah.
That's crazy. And for like the weekend? Like you'd guys come for the entire weekend or for the week, or
Yeah,
how
but
would that look
multiple
like?
times a month.
Yeah.
And we did that for a long time. Plus, we would party in like Southern California
Yep.
or wherever we were. And I would fly in literally from Seattle each time to meet because my buddies would come from California. I was flying in from Seattle.
Yep.
And then I also had a place here in Vegas for a while.
Yeah.
Jeff, who you were on earlier with, he would come down and stay. But like, yeah, when I lived in Vegas, I was on the strip. So it's like, again, party all the time.
Yeah. And when do you think you started, I mean, I don't know if that was a bad decision back then, but when do you think you started maturing out of that? Is it when you got married, or was it way before then?
No, I was way before that.
Yeah.
So I am 37 right now. When I was in my, call it late 20s, early 30s, partying and drinking just became really hard.
Right.
And I think there was a certain period of time, I don't know when it was, I developed, I ended up becoming allergic to alcohol. And I don't know this for a fact, but like if I take a sip of alcohol,
Yeah.
within like 5 minutes at the latest, I'll have a hangover.
What?
And it's the same feeling, like a massive headache.
Yeah.
And it's literally within, a few minutes to 5 minutes max of just taking a small sip. So it's not like you can get drunk taking a
Right.
really tiny sip. It doesn't matter if it's beer or vodka. It doesn't matter what I'm drinking. If I take a tiny sip, I get a massive headache. So then I just don't drink alcohol. And I think I built that up by not partying as much and not drinking. And I remember I went through a period for like a year and I didn't drink, not on purpose, not like I was trying to quit. And I didn't really get drunk anyways when I was partying. I would have a drink or two, but it was more so I think my body just got used to not drinking. And then now if I take a sip, just tells
So
me
you're
not
sober
to.
now.
Yeah.
You,
I haven't taken a sip in a long time.
how long? Years?
Yeah, I don't know how long.
But it must be years though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easily years. And it had nothing to do with COVID because when I started dating my current wife or my wife, when I started dating her, I was never a big drinker. I would only drink socially and only have one or two drinks. So it
Right.
wasn't like I was getting trashed or drunk or anything like that. And when I was in a relationship, I just slowly stopped. Not because she told me to or I wanted to. It just kind of happened.
Yeah.
And I was just trying to be healthier. And I was like, I don't really care to drink. And then all of a sudden, I think I built up I built up something in my body where now when I drink, it's like it's just not used to drinking, so it causes issues.
Right. Makes sense. Makes sense. And in your current, lifestyle, how is it like being a father? Because,
That's good.
yeah,
My daughter's like me. She's 3. She'll watch like CNBC with me
Yeah.
and like watch TV and just sit next to me. My son, we were at a pumpkin patch the other day. He like wants to touch the animals and like
how
climb
old
on
is your
the-
son?
1.
Got it.
My daughter's more like me, where she's just like, oh, I don't want to touch the animals.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't want to go on the big slide. Let's go watch TV together and let's talk.
Yep.
And she's very similar to me.
That's good. And right now, what? So do you mainly just work? Like, is that like your biggest thing, or what else?
Work, hang out with friends. I have quite a few friends who live in Vegas.
Yeah.
I think that's really all I do. Work, hang out with friends and family.
And for work, are you still doing yeah, I'm pretty sure the digital marketing agency.
Yeah. So we have a digital
we're-
marketing agency called NP Digital.
Yep.
We're on our 5th year anniversary, just hit in October. So we finished up our 5th year.
Nice.
So I was really happy about that. And Yeah, it's grown nicely. We're now in a lot of different countries. We just expanded to Germany. Before we were US, Canada, Australia, UK, Brazil, India. I'm missing some.
Yeah.
I know we just did Germany. We're now looking to do the rest of LATAM. I think we're also expanding soon into Italy, France, Portugal, and a few other regions.
That kind of reminds me of like when you were writing blog posts, you said one of the biggest things that help with the search traffic is translating it to different.
International expansion, yeah.
Yeah. So is that why you guys are kind of doing, Portugal and different locations too? Is
So forget traffic, right?
Yeah.
Imagine you're a big company like Microsoft or Apple or Google. People see Microsoft as a US company.
Right.
People see Apple as a US company. People
Right.
see Google as a US company. And the list goes on and on. A lot of these large companies like Tesla and so forth, so on, were started here in America. You agree with that, right?
Yeah.
It's a fact.
Yeah.
But if you actually think about it, they're not US companies, they're global companies. They generate sales in China, Brazil, India, Australia,
Yeah.
Mexico, like you name the country. They didn't get to becoming multi-$100 billion companies or trillion-plus-dollar companies by being in one region.
Makes sense.
And what's funny is at NP Digital, when we're doing the marketing for some of these large corporations, they'll be like, we need you to help us market in this region in Europe or this country specifically in Europe. And it'll be random countries, sometimes like a Lithuania or, and they'll want most of Europe as well. But our customers, even if they're first start working with us within the United States, they want us to help them market their businesses globally.
Yeah.
And that's where the marketing dollars are. Imagine, right? Like we are looking at one of our competitors because our competitors are publicly traded. And a lot of them generate $10+ billion a year in revenue. So they're quite large. And when you look at the economics of their business, for most of them that we've seen, 75+% of their income is generated through overseas.
Wow.
So non-United States.
Yeah. And how do you develop a team overseas?
Hire a leader, start building out a team from scratch. Our CEO of our ad agency worked at Dentsu, which is another Japanese conglomerate, and they owned an ad agency technically a global one that did digital marketing or performance marketing called iProspect.
Okay.
And they had like 4,000 or 5,000 employees throughout the world. So it was a small division, but they did a decent amount of revenue. And he ran the whole thing, and we ended up recruiting him as our CEO a few years ago. And he already knew how to do it.
Right.
So it's rinse and repeat.
Yeah. So for you, it's just finding the right person that already has done it or has done something similar, and then just kind of giving them the reins to go ahead and move forward.
Correct. The key to my success is, so I'm a terrible leader. I'm a terrible manager. I know where I suck. I know where I'm good, and I focus on what I'm good at. And what I like doing is finding people who have done it before successfully. So here's what I mean by that. When I'm looking for someone for a position and I want to be successful, what I end up doing is I go find someone on LinkedIn who has worked out one of my competitors. Not a semi-competitor, but an actual real competitor.
Yeah.
Like exact replica of what I want to be. Someone bigger than me. And what I do is ideally look for someone who's been at that company for a while and who's gotten multiple promotions and raises.
Yep.
So when you interview someone, people always say they did this and they did that and they're great. Man, you never really know. A lot of it's just a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
And you can't call up that company and be like, did they actually do this? Like, oh, you're interviewing? Like, that doesn't work.
Right.
It's just, you don't do that. But if they've worked at 3 competitors, not 1, not 2, but 3, they stayed at each of them for a long time. If those companies were successful and they got promotions at each of those companies, and again, they stayed there for a while.
Yeah.
And they kept climbing the ranks. And again, 3 competitors, right?
Yep.
If they were successful at 3 companies in your space, there's a good chance they'll do it again the 4th time.
Right.
And if
Right.
you can't find 3 times, because sometimes that's hard, at least look for 2 times. And again, if they got promotions within both those organizations, it means other people found them valuable to give them promotions. And again, there's a good chance they'll do it again for you.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And so right now then, are you the person that, does the senior leadership portion where
No.
you're hiring? No?
I don't do
anymore?
any of that. I focus on the marketing. That's all I'm good at.
Yeah. Okay. So
Marketing and product. We have a software division, so I focus on that. I love doing the marketing aspect, but at this time, we're still a small company, but we have 750 people.
yeah.
So like once you get to a certain head count, like
Yeah, obviously you have to.
You just become a person in the, you know, on the workforce or the line or the cogs or whatever they end up calling it.
Right, right.
Like I actually can't make that much of an impact anymore.
Yeah. That's crazy to me. So what part do you focus on? You say the marketing, but it's like, are you,
But even then, we have a whole marketing team that
right.
deals with a lot of it. Uh, I deal with a lot of sales still. I'm not really
Really?
selling myself, but talking with the sales leadership, figuring out what's wrong. So, like my co-founder and I, what we like doing is we like looking at what things are wrong with an organization. How can we just fix them really fast? We
Yeah.
like ruffling the feathers. I know that sounds bad, but
Yeah.
we like going in there and just fixing stuff.
Basically the bottleneck fixers.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And who's your co-founder?
His name is Mike Camo. He lives in Vegas
Oh, I
as
know
well.
Mike. Yeah. Sorry. It's
Yeah.
because I think
So,
you introduced me a long time ago.
yeah.
No, that makes sense.
He's a good guy. He's a really good operator,
Yeah.
and he's really good at sales, and he's amazing at recruiting.
Yeah.
So I drove traffic and provided the money. He dealt with the rest.
Nice, nice. So that's just the digital marketing agency, but don't you have other things like Uber Suggest
Yeah.
and
So we have some software companies. We bought another one called Answer the Public earlier this year.
yeah. I remember you purchased not Hello Sign, it was
Hello Bar.
Hello Bar.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
long time ago. And then got out of that one. I didn't do well on that one. Just right place, right opportunity, didn't focus on it, didn't put the resources behind it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've done a lot of startups, and now what I just try to focus all my attention on is the ad agency and expanding internationally.
Yeah. That's good. And what about the so how did the acquisitions come about? Like how do you determine what, company you should acquire? Is it mainly softwares that just kind of help the agency?
It's anything that we think fits in with our bigger picture. So, for example, like let's say there was a agency that had tons of talent in all of Europe, but they didn't have the best economics, but
Yeah.
they had amazing people. I would go and buy them because I would have a much bigger Europe shop, and then I can fix the economics and I can grow the business much more. It takes a long time to recruit amazing talent,
Yeah.
right? So like that would
That's
be
what
a
I've been
perfect
hearing
fit.
actually.
The other thing is like, let's say it's another software company that has a lot of users within our space, and it plugs in within our ecosystem, and like the economics with the Answer the Public acquisition, I'll end up breaking it down. When we ended up buying it, it was we bought it for I think 8.6. It was doing around $100,000 a month in profit.
Yeah.
No one was really focusing on it, so it wasn't really doing $100,000 a month in profit. It's doing around 120-ish thousand in revenue. So
Oh shit.
when you think about that, if you have 120 in revenue, 100 in profit, most of the costs are server costs. That means you don't really have anyone working on the business.
Right.
It's not going to grow. And when we looked at the traffic and the optimization from visitor to revenue, their economics were so off. We knew that if we owned it, we haven't spent the time on it. I think we acquired it in February or March, but we finally found the right people to start focusing on it. So
Yeah.
it'll take like 6, 7, 8 months. It should have been generating, call it 600,000-700,000 in revenue and 400,000-500,000 a month in profit. So it was just a broken business. So that's just from the software end. 40% of our consulting customers for NP Digital come from Uber Suggest. So forget what revenue that generates. 40% of our customer base comes from there. So imagine if we take Answer the Public, which has the same audience. It was bought it for 8.6. Let's say it was doing 100 grand a month in profit. Let's say we grow it. Maybe my team moves a little bit slow because we just have so many people and we're busy with so many projects. Let's say it takes us a year from now to get it to the 400 a month in profit. All right, that means our payback period, once it gets going and we integrate it within our business, within 2 years at the latest, we'll end up making our money back.
Yeah.
Okay. But then all those visitors can also be consulting clients.
That's true.
That's extra money that the original owners couldn't have made from there. And we make way more from the consulting side than we do from the software side. So it's a cherry on the top for us.
Yeah.
So like it just works well within our ecosystem.
No, that's powerful. You're basically finding companies that already have your audience,
Bingo.
and buying them out.
Dude, you're great at marketing and PR. Imagine not having to do the marketing and just buying the companies that are under monetized, that have your audience, and figure out a better way to monetize it. It's much easier than doing the marketing.
Right.
Yeah, it costs money, but it's easier.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been. I mean, kind of taking a look at some of the people that I follow, they're starting to say like a lot of what's growing their business is through acquisitions because they don't have to necessarily build a business, which is a lot harder than just buying one that already
It
has
is.
customers.
And it's proven with private equity, right? If you look at a lot of the private equity shops, they mainly grow through acquisitions. And they do the 1+1 = 3 model, in which you're taking two businesses, combining them, you're creating efficiencies, you're cross selling, so you're generating more revenue than both those companies combined,
Yeah.
and you're more efficient from a EBITDA standpoint. Hence, you get the model of 1+1 = 3.
Yeah, crazy. Okay, awesome. So now let's dive into NP Digital. I don't know the model too much, but I'm assuming it's performance based marketing.
Yeah, so not like it's performance-based marketing where we help them with their SEO, paid advertising, whether it's Google, Facebook, TikTok, Pinterest, it doesn't matter what platform.
Yeah.
Email marketing, conversion rate
So the
optimization,
whole
the
like
whole gamut.
yeah,
Like if someone needs help with their social media, organic social media, we help them with that. If they need it with their paid, we help them with that. If they need help with creating content, we'll help them with that. Like we literally will do all
damn.
ends of digital marketing.
Yeah, and to me that's crazy to hear because sometimes you hear in entrepreneurship where it's like don't be an all stop shop. What do you think about that? Because you guys do all of it.
Yeah, if you really want to scale, you got to end up expanding your TAM. But when you're starting off a business, it's really hard to be a jack of all trades. But later on, when you have grown to a certain size, the only way to keep growing is you do more and more. Like
That makes
if you
sense.
look at a Microsoft, Microsoft got started with Windows. If
Yeah.
you look at where a lot of their revenue comes from these days, cloud computing, they got Bing ads, which is some, but Office is a huge suite. Outlook, Office, Teams, um, not Photoshop, PowerPoint, right? They got all these divisions. You know how many business tools? GitHub itself does over $1 billion in ARR now. Microsoft announced that. They also have Skype, huge revenue generating center for them.
Yeah.
They have a whole servers division. They have a tablet division. Like, think about how many products they actually have.
Right. Right.
It's so many. Most people don't even know how many products they have. And the same goes with Apple. Apple has headphones, phones, iPads. You also have computers, laptops, and
Yep.
desktop machines. You also got powerful desktop machines that are for people who are doing like video editing and stuff like that. They have their own software, right? Solutions. They generate revenue through advertising on your phone in the App Store. There's music that they make money from.
Yeah.
The Beats by Dre was an acquisition. They ended up
Right.
plugging it in and making better headphones, in my opinion, than Beats by Dre because now they got those AirPods,
Yep. Yep.
right? They got the watch. Like they're now getting into the car industry.
Yeah. That's true.
These guys continually keep expanding. You have to end up doing, you got to increase your TAM, right? TAM stands for total addressable market. I know you know that, but just for anyone listening,
Yeah.
the bigger the TAM, the easier it is to make money. The way you increase your TAM is you keep offering more services and you keep selling to more regions. Apple doesn't sell in the United States. Apple sells globally.
Yeah.
Their customer base isn't just in the US. They have phones even for lower income regions. Like they got the iPhone SE.
Yeah. Can you give a couple of examples for different businesses? Because I think one of the big reasons why you're able to grow and expand upon the services is due to the business model. And I think a lot of people don't get that right. Or if they have it, they don't know, their true cost of fulfillment or things like that. Give a couple of good examples where, people or things to think about when it comes to your business model, to actually grow the business. Because I think that is a stopper for a lot of people.
Well, the first thing is TAM. Are you in a really big TAM? And what
Yeah.
I mean by that is don't be a feature. Don't be a niche business.
Which is crazy because a lot of people say
Yeah,
niche
the
down.
riches are in the niches,
Yeah.
which they're not. That is really false. If you look at all big companies, they're not niches.
Real quick, I just spoke to JC Height, who I don't know if you know JC Height or not. No. Well, yeah, they have like 180 employees, but basically he was saying the same thing. He was saying like, it's a false reality to kind of go into the
Yeah.
niches. You don't grow that way. It's good to start off, but it's
Exactly. You can start off in a niche, but you better expand into a bigger market over time.
yeah,
So the first thing that you want to look for is a big TAM. How can you disrupt a really big total addressable market? And here's what I mean by that. Search is a big market. Is there a way to disrupt it? Maybe hard. Google is pretty much a monopoly.
yeah,
And I know some other people out there are trying to build search engines. But as a user, people are happy with Google. There's not a pain point. You can have more relevant results, but people aren't really be like, oh, the results when I do a search on Google are irrelevant.
Yeah.
So it's going to be hard to disrupt that. Uber disrupted the taxi cab industry.
Yep.
And they made it even bigger because it was a pain to get a taxi, terrible experience. Apple increased the total market size of the watch industry and the headphone industry.
Yeah.
Why? Because they made products that were more usable and what people actually wanted versus what everyone has been doing for ages. So the first thing is big TAM. The second thing is, how can you end up being global? Because the money is not in the United States. The money is worldwide. Yes,
Yeah.
you can still generate a lot of income from the United States, and it may be the biggest country where you make money from, but that's small thinking. The bigger thinking is there's 7+ billion people in this world. How do you generate revenue from all of them?
Yeah. That reminds me as well. Are you familiar with Mr. Beast on YouTube?
Yeah, I saw an article how he's trying to raise money at a $1.5 billion valuation. Good
Yeah,
for him.
yeah. In fact, he created his own service where they do dubs. They do dubbing for videos. So instead of just he has multiple channels where it's not just in
He
English.
does it for other people or he does it for himself?
Both. Yeah,
Oh, I
I
didn't
mean
know
he does it for other people because he did it for himself. And that's how he grew a lot of his. So I'm hearing that from you, I'm seeing that from other people, and like
Yeah.
they're growing really quickly. What would you recommend for a smaller agency that's nowhere near the size of yours to start kind of like branching out into different regions? What's the first thing to do?
Sure. So the first thing to do is just do one region, get really good at it, see where your traffic's coming from and see where your demand is coming from, and then slowly start expanding there. Or see where you have existing customers and see where you can upsell them into another region.
Yeah.
And that'll determine what regions you should add next. I also like looking at GDP of those regions, how much money is being spent on ads in those
Mm,
regions and the population, because that'll all give you an idea if that region's going to be profitable. Then you also got to look at the unit economics for any region. How much are you spending to make that money? And if it's not profitable, then you got to tweak
right.
your model. And in the agency world, a lot of people don't do things like time tracking and figure out where there's wastage. It doesn't mean you got to do time tracking and be like, oh, a client only gets X hours. It's more so, where's your team wasting hours, even with the client? Because if they're paying you X amount of dollars and you're allocating hours to it,
Yeah.
are you actually efficient with those hours for that customer? If not, then you got to fix that, because just because they're paying you and you give them those hours, that's not enough. You need to be getting them the results.
That's true.
But that's really how I look at international expansion. But the big thing is start off small, and then you can start off in a niche and then slowly start expanding.
Yeah. And how do you determine pricing in a different region? Because I'm assuming pricing is just different.
Easiest way is go hit up your competitors and see what they charge, and
Yeah,
that'll
that
give
is
you a good
easy.
idea.
Yeah, that is easy. Awesome, dude. Awesome. Well, for a lot of people that are listening, I think you have a wide variety of people that are new, and then also a
Yeah.
lot of them are bigger level companies. What's one advice that you would give to probably the newcomers, somebody like me that probably just heard about Neil Patel for the first time, to kind of get started?
Yeah. What I would do is, if you're trying to get started, figure out what problem you want to solve for people. If you solve a big problem, there's a lot of money to be made.
Yeah.
And not a problem that's already been solved and people are happy with that solution. People are happy with their AirPods. You can go create another version of them, but doesn't mean you're going to generate sales. They're happy with them. There's not really a problem to solve there. But there's a lot of issues out there that still haven't been solved. Where's the technology in the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
These days, people still spend a lot of time cooking, just like they did 50 years ago. Maybe not as much, but it's both husband and wife, or both partners cooking. And what you're seeing is, where's the technology that helps them be more efficient there? Yeah, some people are trying to create like that June oven and stuff like that, but like they haven't really cracked the nut on how to make that portion of your life easier. Dishwashers, they're cool. Still the same thing that they used to be years ago. Yeah, maybe they're more water efficient, which is great for the environment, and I respect that.
Right.
But like, it's still the same old archaic technology. Like, people aren't making our lives easier. Dude, when we all brush our teeth at least twice a day, right? You're supposed to do morning and night. Sometimes I do after meals as well.
Yeah.
Why is it that when I floss, you got to floss each teeth? I get that. That's a pain. And then you brush. Why isn't that I can't just put something in my mouth and it just brushes them all for me all at once, or like have some tablet and it just like foams up and it just like, kind of like a dishwasher and just cleans it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand why people haven't come up with something that's more efficient and just better and more convenient.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying is like we all focus on, hey, how can we do some new software from the internet or new blog or something, that someone else is doing, but we're not actually trying to solve problems that people are still facing.
Yeah.
Like there's so many problems that people every day. If someone invented a tablet that you just put in your mouth and within 10 seconds it brushes your whole mouth or does the same thing as brushing, so you don't actually have to brush, and it does a better job, I bet you everyone would start buying those tablets
Yep.
instead of brushing their teeth manually.
Yeah. And that's a you could tell, like, that's a true innovator right there, because you think about, what problems, even things that are mundane, right? If you
Yeah.
can make them faster, smoother, things like that, you just kind of improve the model. And things that have been outdated for years, can be improved. So it's
Yeah,
good.
like here's another one. We all take showers. When you shower, you use body wash or soap and you scrub yourself. When you go through a car wash, why don't you have to do that? The machine does it all.
Yeah.
Why do I have to go in my shower and do that? Why didn't I just stand in there and it just was like, all right, measurements, just
Yep.
like a
Yep.
car, and then just, makes it fast and efficient. Like, I just don't get this. And people aren't really trying to solve these problems that everyday people have.
Right.
And they think that, oh, this is how it's been done for 30, 40, 50 years, still works. Yeah, that's great. But there are many better ways to do a lot of the things that we all spend time on a daily basis.
Yeah. Well, Neil, I appreciate you being on the show. Thank you so much for coming. And where can people find you?
NP Digital.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Cool. They were telling me like 5 minutes.